What up, pretty people? It is time for Talking Too Much with Jeremy A. Rodriguez. He is I and I am him. And wow, I do apologize since it has been a minute since I've made an episode. And in truth, it hasn't been from a lack of effort. In fact, I recorded a fight companion for the recent Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum. Also, shamelessly, the Logan Paul versus Ben Askren fight. And there were just so many technical errors, and I still might put it out, but it was a mess. I had some friends over. We had an awesome time, but I also recorded an episode off location at a resort in Gold Canyon. And during a friend's wedding, I had some downtime and recorded a episode out on the patio, just kind of catching up, having some fun, talking about, the Dogecoin madness that was happening, as well as other things happening in the finance world. But I shot it in a picture profile that I was unable to color grade in time because I was on the road. So yeah, that was pretty unfortunate, but I'm back. And yeah, in truth, there were other things going on too. Been busy with work. It's a hot real estate market right now, and it's quite challenging to get buyers under contract since inventory is so low. So woe is me, right? But hey, you got to get after it and do what you got to do for your clientele. Additionally, and more on the personal side, I've been a bit mired in conflict recently. Ooh, conflict, look out, personal problems. No one cares, right? However, the truth is that being an adult is challenging. We're all very aware of this. And anytime there's conflict, especially from sources that, I guess both foreign and domestic, if you will, not that there's problems at home. I mean, there are going to be challenges you may experience from people that you didn't anticipate having a challenge with. And the way you handle conflict, whether it is a matter that kind of hits closer to home, or if it's more external, maybe workplace related, or, out in the world, I think how you react to that stimuli is pretty crucial for us as human beings, because I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen someone react to stimuli poorly and just make a situation worse. I come from hot-blooded Latino people, and we can get hot under the collar and things can tend to escalate, or at least that's been my experience, growing up and just witnessing bad go to worse. And I choose not to look at, approach situations that way. I try to have a measured approach and try to look at it from, a why. I mean, sometimes, people aren't going to be worth your energy, and for you to speculate that deeply on why they would do something bad or perceive you in a way or treat you poorly. But other times, it's an opportunity for growth. So that's how I kind of look at it, as a growing experience, if you will. And, so for you, if you're going through something to where you're mired in conflict, I, wish you all the patience, compassion, and opportunity for growth that you need during that time. It's certainly, not every situation is going to be the same. I mean, some things are incredibly contentious. I mean, goodness forbid you're in a scenario where you need protection, or if you're, unsafe, obviously, call the respective authorities. But for more personal matters, whether it be business or of a more intimate nature, then, wishing you the best of luck and patience and, compassion during that time. And yeah, gonna take a quick commercial break here.
A few moments later.
Okay, cool. Had to step off for a second there because I was worried that the camera wasn't on. So I have not the camera, but the Rode mic on the camera, the external mic wasn't on or something, but it's on. So yeah, another reason I haven't been able to do a pod in a while, or a video rather, is because I've been working on a new rig setup. I got a new camera. There's a lot of fun going on. Okay, no more excuses. Let's just move on and move forward. One of the things I spoke on in the unreleased video I did at my friend's wedding was in congratulations to all the Dogecoin holders out there, who many of whom are thousandaires, millionaires, what have you. And congratulations. And I hope you get out of the bubble while you can, with profit, and I hope you stash for your taxes. Crypto is certainly an exciting and intriguing, emerging, financial sector. And I think it can help a lot of people and change a lot of lives positively. But I'm a little bit worried about the signs I see with Doge. I'm not a financial expert, so you do not have to, take my word for it. But yeah, I've seen some friends make money on it, and I think it's awesome. But the fact that it's a meme and it's only, seemingly goes up in value because it's a meme, and, is getting pumped by Elon. And I got mad love for Elon, but, I really hope he doesn't have like a large holding of it and is just pumping it for own self-interest. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think he's a remarkable leader, excellent visionary, and, is ushering an age of innovation, not single-handedly, but, between Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, Neuralink. I mean, the Boring Company. I mean, my goodness, like, the guy is gonna innovate and integrate all these amazing sectors. But yeah, don't think Dogecoin is the look. I recently checked out a live stream from Charles Hoskinson, who is the creator of Cardano, formerly of Ethereum, and he had some interesting thoughts on the subject matter, and he's obviously an expert in the field, and I'd highly recommend you check out his, a few of his interviews or a few of his videos on Doge. I'll leave the link in the description in there because I'm not trying to get too in the weeds. I already feel like I've, rambled on about the subject matter enough. People are just going to think I'm a Doge hater, but I am not a Doge hater. I am a Doge lover. I actually have 2 lovely Shiba Inus at home, and I love them dearly. So fantastic dogs. Quirky, but fantastic dogs. But congrats to all you Doge heads out there. You're winning. I hope you stay winning and get out while you can. That's not investment advice. But yeah, moving on outside of the crypto space, honestly, there's been a lot of fake news going on with Tesla recently, and in my last video, I went on a long ramble and fumbled through a bunch of research I'd done, trying to state a great case as to why it's undervalued and how it was a great buying opportunity at the time. And, now the stock price is up, considerably, like probably over $100 or so since that video, which is great. I mean, it's a volatile stock though. I still think it's a great buying opportunity, and I'm not going to linger on that too much. There's plenty of other sources out there for Tesla information, but between the auto accident in Texas and, Car and Driver putting out this whack video of them hacking the self-driving system to where you don't need someone in the driver's seat. There's just so much BS out there when it comes to Tesla that It's no wonder they don't have a PR department to just field the BS out there. It's absolutely ridiculous. How disingenuous to say like you're hacking a system and that it's not safe enough if in order to trick the vehicle into thinking it doesn't have a driver there, you're just going to hang a rope around the steering wheel with like some rolls of tape. I'm not making this up. You can look up the video. I'll share it in the description as well. But literally, they hang some rolls of tape off of a piece of rope onto the self-drive onto the steering wheel, and then click the seatbelt, and like, the guy's got his like foot awkwardly like kind of on the brake to just be careful, and it's so ridiculous. And the news cycles just pick it up and roll with it like it's a thing, in the same way that when with that auto accident that went down in Texas, they try to make it seem like immediately like it was a self-driving issue. Meanwhile, the car didn't even have self-driving. There's also protests going on in China right now. A woman rallying against their braking systems, but refuses to get the car investigated by Tesla or anyone else. It's just like a out for blood kind of campaign, making wild requests. So it's just never gonna stop being in the news cycle. And honestly, like, I'll probably come off shameless if I put like Tesla in the thumbnail or in the title or something. But honestly, it's just something that interests me. It's a fascinating company. I think they're going to do really, really neat things. I'm all for a more sustainable energy future. I love that they recently announced that they want Powerwall, that they're requiring Powerwall to be standard with their solar roof and solar panel orders, which I think is quite brilliant move, because essentially it positions people to actually get the most out of their systems. Now, does it make it as affordable as it once was? No. I mean, you're looking at another 10 to 20 grand probably per order, depending on the needs of the home. But if that leads to you being able to leverage it more effectively, listen, being here in Arizona and seeing, being a real estate agent and showing people homes and looking through solar leases, I've seen some ridiculous leases out there to where I do not see an economic benefit. But I believe in solar. It's just, don't get screwed over by the solar company. Sign like a favorable, deal. These lease agreements have escalations, on 30-year leases, to where they're just, some of them go up ridiculously, to where at the end of the term, at the end of the 30-year term, with the solar panels being their least efficient, it's like, something like, upwards of $400 a month at the end. And I mean, I guess in 30 years, maybe that'll be around where your utility is. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math on that, but it just seems like kind of a rough deal, especially if that same home, just paying for electricity is going to be like, $200 if you're running it efficiently. Now, for larger homes, totally different story. But again, I'm stuck in the weeds here. All I know is that this is good news to me when it comes to Tesla, but all you're hearing is bad news, and yet still the stock price closed at like $7.19 today. So yeah, get those leap options ready, baby. 2023 is going to be a ball. But anyway, moving forward, just trying to move on from the financial sector. I'm super excited for MMA. There's been so much MMA news that's happened since my last episode, and I've missed it. One thought I'm going to share on, I have a few different thoughts. I mean, let's be clear. I just want to like cliff note a few things. Devastated Demetrius Johnson lost. He got kneed and sent to the depths. And that sucked. That was sad to see. I got his bobblehead right here in the corner there, from MMA Bobblehead. And, sad to see. But, that's the game. the young live to eat the old in this sport, and if you stay in long enough, you don't go out undefeated. Khabib is definitely an outlier in the way he did it, right? Even the GOAT GSP, took his licks, took his L's, and kept coming back, and that's, to be honest, one of the reasons why I think he's the GOAT. Is it takes a lot to battle adversity and come back and right the wrong, if you will, right? But before we get into UFC action, actually, one last recap. Logan Paul versus Ben Askren. That was really rough to watch. Ben looked stiff. Did one slip, one overhand right. I thought that was pretty cool. And then just looked terrible from there. Got sent to hell. It was not a fix. And y'all crazy. Just, Jake Paul, he's a tool, whatever. They're culture vultures. Like, they've made a living off of being controversial, tool bag figures. And good for them, right? I mean, I'm talking about them right now. They're people who've garnered interest. And now people want to see Jake Paul fight a whole bunch of people. So, mission accomplished, I don't think he's doing anything positive for the sport of boxing. So don't go that far. But, it drew, and Ben got paid, and I'm happy for him. But golly, I'm glad I didn't get that takeout, because I was thinking Ben, even though his striking is poor, could wear on him, has a solid chin, and could take him, into, after the fifth round, that Jake would probably be gassed, and then Ben would just wear on him and, maybe get a TKO or something ridiculous. And now that sounds absolutely silly, but, what can I say? I'm biased. I like Ben Askren. I think he's a funny cat. I think he's a pretty genuine dude, a unique character in the MMA world, and yeah, good for him. He got that bag. He's still blessed. And then of course, Kelvin Gastelum versus Rob Whittaker. Rob Whittaker is, bar none, in my opinion, the most bona fide number one contender in any weight class in MMA. Period. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. And I know Stylebender put him away when they fought, but I don't care. I can certainly see that fight being different. Rob is absolutely top-notch, world-class, likely the best fighter in the UFC who doesn't have a belt, and that rematch needs to happen. Anything else would be a farce. That's how I feel. But anyway, now that the recap is done, I'm not going to backtrack anymore because it's been so long. Let's talk MMA happening this weekend. But prior to the weekend, Friday, today, depending if I'm able to get this out in time, I swear to God, I better. But PFL is having their first event. They took 2020 off. And, I know there's going to be some eyes that roll into the back of their skull when I mention PFL. But I'm excited because Anthony Pettis is making his debut in the promotion, and I'm an Anthony Pettis fan. I'm what can I say? I'm a Puerto Rican cat. He's half Puerto Rican. I like to root for him, but it's also a major crossover. I mean, Rory McDonald is also having his debut coming up soon too on an event a little bit down the road. But I find this matchup for Anthony Pettis to be interesting because it's with a gentleman named Clay Colliard, who I had no idea who he was until my recent trip to Utah, and I learned a good bit about him. A regional star in that area of that region of the country, and he's a boxing heavy, pressure forward kind of guy, well-rounded dude, and that's kind of a style that Pettis has struggled with at times, like when people take his space. But in his last fight, didn't bother him. His opponent came forward and he devastated him with kicks and whooped them cheeks. So I am hopeful that Pettis gets it done, and especially on a card where the previous lightweight champion, Natan Schulte, will also be fighting against Marcin Held, who is a really good jiu-jitsu guy, had a not so great bid in Bellator, but is a talented guy. So that could be an interesting matchup because Schultz is more of a grappling based dude. So who knows? That'd be a pretty wild upset for your champion to lose in the first round of the tournament. And then there's Lance Palmer, who's the 145 pound champ. He'll be fighting a really good wrestler in Bubba Jenkins. So we'll see how those fight goes. I'm not going to talk about PFL anymore. I just wanted to speak to something I'm excited about because that is what I should be doing, right? Talking about things I'm interested in, and maybe if you can connect with it, then maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. But come on. We know the big event this weekend is UFC 261. It is the big rematch between Kamaru Usman and Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. And I've been a fan of Jorge far before it was the cool thing to do. I remember watching one of his early vlog series with the cats out of his camp in Miami. I don't even remember the name anymore, to be perfectly honest, but it was fun. And Jorge was a character then, just as much as he's a character now, but that was more during his, humble roots. And, just getting yelled at by his coach, like the coach pounded on his door because he slept in or something for practice. So, Jorge certainly is talented. He's been through a lot. He's a hard worker, and, he's a dangerous dude. But this was not a rematch that I was clamoring for, to be honest. The last matchup came together, obviously, under some duress. It was supposed to be Gilbert Burns versus Kamaru Usman, and then, obviously, Gilbert got COVID, and then 6 days notice, yada, yada, yada. You know the story, but originally that was Jorge's shot, and even Dustin Poirier said that Jorge had been training, so the excuses go out the window now. They've both had full time to prepare for this matchup, and you'd expect to get the best out of them. This is a relatively quick turnaround for Kamaru. I mean, golly, he just fought a few pay-per-views ago, and I'm expecting more of the same. I know it's a 50-50 fight. Every fight is, and I'm wrong all the time, so don't take my word for it. But as much as I want to give Jorge the advantage in striking, his hand speed will be important in this, just as I thought Gilbert would have the hand speed advantage, and he did in their fight. Jorge will have a hand speed and kick speed. I mean, just a speed advantage in general when it comes to Kamaru. If Kamaru has an Achilles heel, if you will, it's going to be the fact that he seems to be a half beat behind most of his opponents from a speed perspective. And so far it's been trumped by his wrestling ability. And in his last fight, it was the timing. It was the timing and the placement of his punches and his shifting of stances while throwing power jabs that won the fight for him. And while I don't see that as a reliable path to victory against Jorge, I think the wrestling will still take into account. Jorge is great at wall walking. He's great at scrambling. He's great at mitigating damage against the cage, as he did against Kamaru when they last fought. But I think one of his best weapons is his body kick. That seems like an opportunity for a takedown for Kamaru. Kamaru is the bigger, stronger man. Up against the cage, he was able to control Jorge. So, I'm expecting a bit more of the same with some chaos sprinkled in there. No, not you, Colby, not you. But I'm thinking Kamaru retains, but always got mad love for Jorge. Always wish him the best of luck. And not to be a fanboy, but I've tagged him in IG posts before, and he seemed to like the matchups. I remember when, before he made his transition. He made his transition to 170 when Kevin Lee was going to go to 170. That was a matchup I was interested in seeing just because they're unique characters, brash dudes, and I think that would have been fun, just to hear them talk crap. But there have been other instances where I've tagged him in posts, and he was liked it. I don't know. It was probably his manager. Now I'm just being a nerd, honestly. What a dork thing to bring up, but whatever. I'm shameless. Truly, the matchup I wanted to see was Jorge versus Gilbert Burns. But if the two guys that fight, that just lost to the champ fight, then what really is there to gain from that? And then, of course, there was the Colby matchup with Jorge. That would have been nice. Him, Leon, whatever. Now Leon's fighting Nate. Anyway, I digress. Kamaru by decision. But yeah, the most anticipated fight on this card for me, and I'm sure many of you feel the same, Zhang Weili defends her strawweight championship against former champion Rose Namajunas. Thug Rose. Yes. And it's going to be an awesome fight. I think this is a fantastic matchup. And while initially when I watched Weili fight Joanna, I thought Joanna did enough to win. On my recent viewings of that fight, I've leaned more Weili just because you can't ignore the damage that Weili seemed to be doing, seemed to be moving Joanna more. So I don't have the numbers in front of me. Joanna may have landed more, but man, Weili was there answering, just going blow for blow, and seemed to be delivering the heavier strikes. And she exceeded expectation in that fight for me, truly. The fact that she was able to keep up with Joanna's pace. So this is a fantastic matchup. This is incredibly intriguing. Rose, I don't know the measurements, but I would think Rose would have a length advantage against Weili. Weili seems to have a little bit shorter arms, but obviously, how you utilize that range is incredibly important. And Rose, probably just as fast as Joanna. So if she's able to land on Weili at a higher clip, or just as good of a clip as Joanna, I don't think those exchanges are one-sided. I think Rose can crack. She has great speed, great movement, great timing, and hits harder than Joanna. So I think this will be the first time that Weili has fought. The first time since Andrade, at least, that she's fought someone that can potentially, put her away in one or two shots, because Rose can sting with her straight punches. She's fast and fun fight. I think in a firefight, just strength for strength, I tend to lean towards Weili in this fight just because of what she showed in her last fight. She seems to have a relentless ambition to improve, and I got to give her the power advantage. I could see her, because honestly, Rose, durability has come into question before. Anybody who gets slammed on their head as viciously as Andrade slammed her is going to take some damage, is going to be hurt. And Andrade obviously landed some heavy blows in their rematch and pretty much changed the back end of that fight with a single blow to Rose. And not everyone's going to be able to hit like Andrade, but Weili can hit like Andrade. And she has savage combinations. So while I lean Weili, I always got to root Thug Rose. I'm not even going to touch on her anti-communism comments. But rooting for Rose in this one because America. That's why. But it'll be a great fight. They're both fantastic athletes. And I think if Weili wins and Valentina, who's the next fight I'm going to cover, wins, they're going to look to match that up. Because outside of Rose, there's not really a bona fide number one contender at strawweight. There's a ton of talent at strawweight, but there's no bona fide number one contender. We got to see something, whether it's, what's her name? The Brazilian, if it's Dern versus Tatiana Suarez or something like that, that would be great to see. I think if Weili wins, they're going to look to match her up with either Valentina or Andrade. I could see that happening. If Andrade versus Valentina goes Andrade's way, they might give Valentina an instant rematch, depending on how that goes. Unless it's by devastating finish, which would be the only advantage I'd give to Andrade. Andrade is such a beast, and honestly, even though she's the shortest reigning strawweight champion in the promotion's history, she's a beast, and she can bring trouble to Valentina. She's very strong. I kind of I don't want to discredit her by saying it's similar to the Jennifer Maia matchup for Valentina, but it is, except I think Andrade will be able to bring more pressure than Jennifer Maia did, and I think she has more striking acumen. While Andrade's striking acumen isn't like out of this world, I mean, in her last fight against Rose, she showed a lot more, head movement, gave a lot of different looks in that regard, did a better job disguising her entries. I mean, shoot, it wasn't working much in the beginning, but, then, as people get tired, they start to miss a little bit more. Not to mention, and this is silly speculation. I feel like an idiot even saying this, but Valentina in the embedded videos, throwing a lot of spins. And honestly, that's a great way to get punched in the back of the head by a power striker like Andrade. And I think it's also a great way to have Andrade take your back. And I mean, maybe Andrade isn't as big as Jennifer Maia, even though she used to fight at 135 as well. But Andrade can hold you down. I mean, she's a beastly woman. So yeah. Toughest matchup for Valentina so far at flyweight, but ultimately I think she'll be able to get it done as long as she manages distance effectively, utilizes her quickness, her scrambling ability, doesn't get held down and brutalized by Jessica. And if Jessica doesn't land the big shot, I think it's going to be Valentina via 5-round decision. Jessica is very durable, getting knocked out by Weili, notwithstanding, spearing her chin onto Weili's fists and elbows. But yeah, I think that'll be a fun fight. I think this is a great card. Anytime you have 3 championship fights on a card, it's a very exciting time. The rest of the card, Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. This is a rematch from the regional New York days where Chris Weidman, before he was in UFC, defeated Uriah Hall handedly. Hard to say how this will go. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I was abundantly interested in this matchup. I guess you could say Weidman with a victory here, he can be a compelling matchup for someone they're trying to boost into the title picture, right? And he's had some tough losses. We're all familiar with his losing streak, how that went, and then he won his most recent fight. So, I got nothing but love for Chris Weidman. He actually, funny enough, reminds me of an uncle of mine in New Jersey. And strangely enough, that uncle happens to know him because he's a BJJ black belt in New York, or in the greater, Jersey, New York area, what have you. Uriah Hall, we know him for the guy who lost to Kelvin Gastelum in The Ultimate Fighter. That's pretty much his legacy thus far. And that's okay. He's a nice guy. He's talked about his mental shortcomings. Fantastic athlete, fun striker, and should be an interesting fight. I think it's a stylistic matchup, striker versus grappler. Even though Weidman has shown some kind of improved striking recently, honestly, in his advanced age, has shown to be a varied striker, showed more head movement, but ultimately, striker versus grappler, I'll go with Weidman for fun. Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. Big step up for Jimmy Crute. I think maybe too early. I mean, his recent victories have come from swarming dudes and grappling them and getting a submission. And Anthony Smith is not that dude. I mean, he straight up is a dangerous guy. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt, and you can never count Lionheart out. I mean, his less than inspiring recent performances notwithstanding, he's still a top light heavyweight in the division. So, but yeah, that's the main card. I'm looking forward to it. I am much looking forward to watching it and having a reaction to it, maybe a vintage reaction video. I don't know. I'm hoping to be more consistent, and consistency is important. But I really feel bad because honestly, I have a long work day tomorrow, and I am probably not going to put as much production quality, if you will, into the video with my graphics, etc. But I hope the video looks crisp. I'm trying to post in 4K. I'm trying to have that crisp audio, and I'm trying to bring more presentation elements to this pod. I appreciate you sticking with me, and nothing but love. and I'm committed to growth, committed to learning. I'm so excited to get some interviews done. I have a lot of great ideas. I just need some more time and space to execute. I want to put out a vlog for my fourplex that I just got a renter in after doing the remodel, and 2 renters falling through previous. It's with inventory so low, I would not have expected to have so many flaky tenants, but or applicant for tenancy. But anyway, I digress. Nothing but love. Stay classy, pretty people. Looking forward to the fights. Let me know who you think's gonna win. In the main card, main event, co-main event. There's 3 championship fights. It's gonna be lit. But yeah, nothing but love. Stay up. Get some papes over the weekend. And till next time, pretty people. Peace.